So I'll be honest with all of you, I really did not want to make this video, mainly because I've been feeling very positive towards Pokemon GO as of late, but I really do think this is important. So basically, over this past weekend, we had an Origin Raid Day, and there were a lot of different problems, specifically regarding the shiny rate and the way that this event was designed. I'm going to be talking about this in this video, and I really do think we need to talk about this. Yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon GO video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So today we're going to be discussing the Origin Raid Day, which we had this past weekend, and the big thing with this Raid Day was the fact that it was featuring both Origin Form Palkia and Origin Form Dialga, and you were supposed to get a boosted shiny rate for both of these Pokemon. That drew a lot of hype from the Pokemon GO community because getting a shiny Dialga and shiny Palkia, specifically their origin forms, was something that a lot of players were really excited about. The idea of getting yourself a shiny Dialga or shiny Palkia with either Spatial Rend or Roar of Time, that sounded really cool. A lot of players were really excited about doing that. A lot of people that I talked to, they saved up a whole bunch of raid passes and Pokecoins specifically for this raid day, because when it comes to any of the fusions, and of course with Crown Form Zacian and Crown Form Zamazenta, they're all extremely powerful, but if there was any legendaries that were going to be comparable to those Pokemon, it was going to be these two. Origin Form Palkia and Origin Form Dialga with their Adventure Effect moves makes them incredibly powerful. Now, there was a lot of problems with this raid day. It was full of a lot of different issues, specifically related to the shiny rate. They forgot to turn on the boosted shiny rate for this raid day, simply put. And a lot of players were extremely upset about that because when it comes to these raid days, the big primary appealing factor regarding them is, of course, the boosted shiny rates, because people are going to do a whole bunch of raids and they're going to want to pick up the shinies. A bunch of them, not just one. Mainly because they want to possibly get high IVs of those shinies. And when it comes to this particular raid day, there was another level of RNG that Niantic did not mitigate, which I'll talk about that more later. But yeah, they forgot to boost the shiny rate. So a lot of players did dozens of raids, hundreds of raids even, and they came out with barely any shinies. And I think that upset quite a few players, especially the hardcore ones who spend a lot of money. I mean, even for myself, I did maybe about 50 raids per se, which is about how many raids I would typically do for a raid day. And even then, I came out with 2 shinies, just one of each. I had one shiny Dialga, very bad IVs of course, but it did have reward time. So for myself, I felt like it was kind of all worth it at the end of the day. I did also get a shiny Origin Form Palkia, but it did not have Spatial Rend. So that one was kind of a miss. Unless they give us a way to get those Adventure Effect moves in the future, I'm still going to hold on to it. I'm not going to trade it or anything. But yeah, it was very disappointing for that regard because I wanted one of each. It would have been really nice if I got a shiny Origin Palkia with Spatial Rend. That would have been really cool. Yeah, but unfortunately, because they did not boost the shiny rate out of those 50 raids, I will say I did pretty good. 2 shinies was quite substantial. Typically with these raid days, I would do about 50 raids and I would get maybe 7 or 8 shinies, maybe more. And I feel like that, in and of itself, feels pretty good. I think having a rate of 1 in 10 is pretty solid for a raid day because there's a very limited time for those raid bosses, and of course you're going to be raiding a lot more hardcore than usual, and you want to feel rewarded. You want to feel like you accomplished something, that you got something for putting in the time and effort to participate in these events. But that simply did not happen this past weekend. This Origin raid day, it felt like a huge bust because there was no boosted shiny rate. It felt like as many raids as you did, you just ended up disappointed. And I think a lot of players share this sentiment, and no amount of compensation is going to make up for that, unfortunately. So I really do think Niantic needs to get their act together. This is obviously not the first time this has happened, and it's quite unfortunate for pretty much every single Pokemon GO player that did participate. I know a lot of players spent hundreds of raid passes. There's some people who bought the event ticket because they felt like it was worth it for this time around, and they ended up disappointed. They spent all this money and they did not get what they wanted. I totally understand that RNG is a thing with this game, that even if they did boost the shiny rate, there's no guarantee that you would get a shiny. I totally recognize all of that, but the fact that they promised to boost the shiny rate and they did not, that is a huge problem. And I do think Niantic needs to come up with a way to compensate players for the amount of money and the amount of time that they might have spent. Now, another thing is, of course, in regards to these adventure effect moves. Spatial Rend and Roar of Time are the two moves that actually unlocks the full potential for both Origin Form Palkia and Origin Form Dialga. The problem is, you cannot get these moves with TMs. You can't get them with Elite Charge TMs, which is, in my opinion, a little ridiculous. I really feel like there needs to be a way for you to get these moves without having to just hoping that you can get them from raids. I think that system is very busted. I really do think that when they initially announced these moves for these Pokemon, they should have come up with some way for you to get them on any of your Pokemon that you've caught, specifically either of these Pokemon. So if you were to catch a whole bunch of Origin Form Palkias, for example, but you were to get a 100% IV, super exciting, right? Like, it's amazing. You hit the lottery, you hit the jackpot, and you got yourself a 100% IV. Even better, what if you were to get a Shundo? That would be even more crazy. But it does not have the signature move. It does not have the adventure effect move that you need in order to make that Pokemon a top tier. That would be incredibly disappointing. Honestly, I would be devastated. If I were to get myself a Shundo, let's say in Origin Form Dialga, and it did not have the adventure effect move, Roar of Time, I feel like that Pokemon is not that good. It would not be as exciting. It would be another level of RNG that I would need to hit, and for a lot of people, that was another level of disappointment from this past event. You would think that if they were to have some sort of special raid day like they did, they would also include some way for you to get that move guaranteed. I think that would have gone over a lot better. Maybe with this event ticket, they could have included a special item that you could use, just like with Rayquaza. Like if you want to get Mega Rayquaza, you need the Meteorite item. Maybe they could have included something like that, because I felt like the extra level of RNG that they added with these two Pokemon just created a very frustrating experience. Because yeah, I did catch two shinies, but only one of them is actually one that I feel like is worth powering up and maxing out. Of course, both of these Pokemon had crummy IVs, but of course we have bottle caps. That was a great solution to that problem with RNG. They need to do something about these moves. I really do think that for both Origin Form Palkia and Origin Form Dialga, they need to come up with something that allows us to get the move that we want on both of these Pokemon, and I really hope they add that really soon. So yeah, all in all, I will say that this Origin Raid Day just did not hit the mark, unfortunately. I thought it was one of the most exciting raid days that we could have had, but unfortunately, it just puttered and did not meet a lot of those expectations. Niantic did say that they are going to come up with some way to compensate players for the fumble of not turning on the boosted shiny rate. I really hope it's something substantial. It's not going to be something where they just give you a bunch of Pokeballs. I know that's a meme that people share on the Reddit, like Silph Road Reddit and on social media, but I really do hope they come up with something really cool. Maybe they could just give everyone a free shiny of both of them, and they will come with the adventure effect move. That will definitely basically make every single Pokemon Go player happy. They're not going to be mad if they did that. Doesn't matter with the IVs, of course, because bottle caps, I feel like that is probably the one compensation that would actually make players feel okay about this. Because yeah, it was awful. I felt like a lot of people were just feeling really disgruntled. I saw a lot of discouraged players. I saw a lot of happy players too. There were still some players that hit the jackpot. There were some players that got Shundos. There were some players who got high IV shinies with the adventure effect moves. It certainly was possible. It wasn't like they just completely turned off the shiny rate. It was just really difficult to get a shiny, and I think that was just such a bad mark in what has been a very positive streak for Pokemon Go and Niantic. So Yeah, I really hope they learn their lesson. I know this is something we've talked about before because this has certainly happened before. But yeah, I think this is just one of those things where it's going to create a lot of negative sentiments in what should be a very positive year. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about. Do you feel like Niantic could do more than what I suggested? Do you feel like this Origin Raid Day was a huge disaster? Or do you feel like it was okay? Do you feel like maybe it was meant to be the way it was, that you actually had a lot of fun? I would actually like to know. So if you have any thoughts regarding this past Origin Raid Day, definitely share them in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget the notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, if you want to support everything that I do, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, like many of the people you're going to see on the bottom of your screen, yeah, that's going to allow you to be on my friends list. That's who I add to my Pokemon Go friends list, all my Patreon supporters. So if you want to remote raid with me for stuff like raid days, or if you want to exchange gifts, different things like that. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you could do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to keep up with my daily life. And that's going to be it for this video. I am Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and love yourself. Make sure you look in the mirror, say that you're awesome, because I think you're awesome. And yeah, I'll catch you all later.